Well, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to a brand new episode of Hearthstone Power. Today we are doing a simple deck building guide. This is going to be for people who are fairly new to trading card games, or excuse me, collectible card games. This is not a trading card game. So if you are an advanced player in any means, this probably is not the video for you. This is going to cover basic things like mana curve, card draw, removal, having removal in your deck, stuff like that. So just the basic tips here. So you can watch if you would like. But let me quickly... We're going to make a deck right here. Delete this. Fortunately, you can only have 9 decks. So I'm going to have to delete one. Let's pick a new deck. For the purposes of this video, let's pick something that's straightforward. I think a hunter is a straightforward hero. Because he has removal, he has... basic creatures that have synergy, stuff like that. So, and a pretty simple hero power. All right. So when you're building a deck in Hearthstone, at least, so we'll keep it specific to Hearthstone. You pick your class, and then you. Right now, there aren't too many choices in the types of decks that you can make. Like for example, 2 main decks that I've played as the hunter is a weapon deck with secrets, and another type is basically a beast deck. With that uses the synergy of beasts, like stuff like this. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, well, I guess this one. Yeah, +1 attack and charge to all your beasts, or something like this. So in Hearthstone, you want to. There aren't enough cards to really pick a huge number of strategies, so you're gonna have to narrow something down quick. So for this example, let's do something with beast synergy. Okay, so you know that's the theme of your deck. Now, decks have to have a similar number of things regardless of what the theme is. Card draw is important, and so is removal. So I always like to start off with the cards that I know are going to be in the deck for sure, regardless of the theme. So let's just look at the hunter as an example. Arcane Shot is a simple card, and for the purposes of this video, I'm going to try to stick to basic cards and common cards, maybe rare cards. I'm not going to assume you have epics or legendaries. Rares are pretty easy to come by, and they're pretty cheap to craft. And basic cards you get free by playing, and common cards are pretty easy to come by as well. So we'll assume those are the cards that you have at least starting out. So Arcane Shot is a simple card, 1 mana for 2 damage. This is something that I don't include in the higher end hunter decks, but it really depends on really what the rest of your deck is. So let's put this in for now. This will probably stay just because I'm not used to filling out cards that are only basic and common. So I think this is going to stay in the deck. So we'll put Arcane Shot in the deck. Removal is very important. You need to be able to remove. You need to be able to maintain board control against your opponent. So that's very important. Hunter's Mark is another example of that. But on its own, it's underwhelming. It won't do anything by itself. You either need a minion on the board to use it, or you need an Arcane Shot, for example. So this might combo okay, but using 2 cards to get rid of 1 minion is not preferable. Alright, let's look at an example here. This is not card draw, but it is... This basically is 1 mana and draw a card. What it does allow you to do, though, is look through your deck, the top 3 cards at least, and pick the card that you need. So that's really powerful ability. Tracking is a nice card to fill up your hunter deck as well if you're not sure what else to put in. So I think Tracking is almost a staple card. It allows you to dig into your deck and get the answer you need when you need it. So that's nice. Alright, I'm going to skip the minions for now. We'll go back to the minions. We'll skip the traps. We'll go back to the traps. The traps are really good, though. Alright, Animal Companion is a staple card in a hunter deck if you're gonna make beasts. The beasts that come out of here are very, very powerful. So we'll throw these 2 in here. Okay, removal. Deadly Shot is a expensive removal in terms that it's random, but if they've only got 1 minion on the board, it's a guaranteed kill for 3 mana. You can't beat that for newer decks. So this is a really nice card to have in the deck. Kill Command. We are playing beasts, so this is probably the perfect card for us. It's 5 damage guaranteed almost, and if not 3 damage, it's still pretty good for 3 mana. So we'll include 2 Kill Commands. And I'm going to stick with the hunter cards for now, and then we'll fill it out with hunter cards, and then we'll do the neutral minions afterward. Alright, multi-shot is a very nice is very nice removal. Gets rid of 2 random enemy minions. The only problem I have with this card is you can't cast it if they only have 1 minion on the board, which I think is absolutely silly, and it's got to be an oversight on Blizzard's part. I don't see that being permanent, because it doesn't make any sense. You could totally multi-shot a single mob in World of Warcraft, and you could totally do an AoE spell on 1 mob in any game or anything. It doesn't make any sense that you would have to have 2. So I would imagine that's just a bug or something that they'll end up fixing, because you cannot play it with 1 minion on the board. That being said, it's still a really good card, so we'll throw that in there. And last but not least, I think we're going to put an explosive shot. This is a rare, yes, but it's 5 damage to a minion and 2 damage to adjacent ones. So it's really, really, really good AoE here. So the Hunter has a lot of answers to removing minions. We're already about halfway done with our deck just with our removal cards. Although technically, I'm sorry, most of this is removal. Animal Companion is not removal. Tracking is not removal. So, but a lot of removal anyway. So now let's fill out the deck with the beast cards that we find will fit in the deck. And also, as we're doing this, we're going to take a look at our mana curve. Basically, when you're building a deck, you want to make sure that you have an even spread of cost in your cards. You don't want all 1-drops. When I say 1-drop, what I mean is something that you can play for 1 mana. So a 7-drop is 7 mana, etc. So you don't want all 1-drops or all 7-drops or something like that, or an imbalance. What you want to be able to do, the goal of to keep tempo in the game, is that as the game goes along, you're playing more and more powerful cards. On turn 7, ideally, you want to be playing something that costs 6 or 7. That's the idea, because it's probably your strongest card, so you want to play it as soon as possible. Also, on turn 6, you can play 2 things that cost 3. That's also a good play to maintain tempo. So in order to do that, you have to make sure that you have a well-balanced mana curve. You need to make sure you have the most number of cards in your decks should be around. Let me rephrase that. The cards that you want most common in your deck are cards that are in the mid-range of mana cost. And that's not always the case, but it's a good basic rule to follow. So 3, 4, 5 is middle of the road there, maybe 3 and 4. So you should have the most of 3 and 4 in your deck. You'll usually find that's the case just as you build out your deck. Now, if you're playing some kind of turtling strategy deck, where your strategy is just to maintain board control, but like with top minions, so you can get into the late game, something like a late game priest deck or a late game druid deck, you might have a mana curve that's really big on the high end. You might have the most cards in your deck are 5, 6, 7, and you're hoping on your early game cards you need to draw them, but you're hoping that they will get you there. Problem is, if your opening hand is, mana cost 5, 5, 6, and then you mulligan those, and then you get 4, 5, 7, you're in a little bit of trouble in the beginning of the game. You're going to be taking some early damage, especially if you're playing against an aggressive type of deck. So that's the risk you take when you do that. So as we go along, we're going to make sure that we have a nice mana curve. So right now it's okay, but we're not quite there yet. Usually you can look at it more toward the end of the deck building process. Alright, so we're going to make beasts. So what else do you want to throw in this deck? Unleash the Hounds is a good choice. We're going to hold back on that. Timberwolf is a fantastic 1-drop. It is a 1/1 for 1, so it's automatically average. It's God's value here. But it also has a very important ability in that your other beasts have +1 attacks. This is a necessary card in the Hunter deck. We're going to skip the traps for now. We're going to stay with minions. Alright, Scavenging Hyena is a really, really, really good basic card. This card can end games, because you've got a whole board full of minions, or a whole board full of beasts, and they're dying, and they're getting this guy more and more powerful. So he's a really good choice. And then probably the best card in the deck, most important card in the deck as far as beasts go, is the Starving Buzzard. You can see it's a 2/2 for 2, so that's good. Whenever you summon a beast, draw a card. So really, really, really good potential for card draw. This is really all the Hunter has in terms of card draw in their arsenal. So you kind of have to... You want to throw the Buzzard down and immediately throw down another beast afterward. If you do that, you're breaking even. You spent 1 card, gain a card, but you also have a minion on the board. But this is going to get killed almost immediately. Later in the game, the more the more beasts you can play on the same turn that you cast him is even better. And obviously, if he survives the turn and you can play more beasts, then you're getting extreme value out of him. So he's very important to this strategy here. So take a look at our mana curve here. So now we're more at the high end, but obviously we're starting at low end cards, so we'll get there. Our Animal Companion basically counts as a minion. We have already added that in. Okay, Houndmaster. He's not a beast card, but he has really, really good synergy with beasts. You can see that he's a 4/3 for 4 mana. He gives a friendly beast +2/+2 in taunt. Every creature that we're putting in this deck is going to be a beast except for the Houndmaster. And that is because you don't want a situation where you have the Houndmaster in your hand and you don't have beasts on the board. So this is the only non-beast that we're going to put in the deck, at least for now. Alright, Tundra Rhino is one of those beasts that is good if you're playing an aggressive type of deck. He's really nice in that he's going to have charge inherently, because he is a beast and all your beasts will have charge. If you get this later in the game, if you have other beasts in your hand, they're all going to have charge, so that's really nice. If you can get him out and he survives, the following turn you're going to have charge too. So he's pretty good. Let's throw him in there for now, but we'll see what we're going to end up with here. And see, we're already getting to almost 30, and I haven't added any neutral minions yet, so we might have to trim this a little bit. But that's part of the deck building process. So take a look at the Savannah Highman really quick. This is probably one of the best creatures in the deck in terms of power. He is a game ender. He's a 6/5, so it's pretty beefy for a creature for 6 mana. And when he dies, he summons 2/2/2 hyenas. So, assuming he doesn't get silenced or something like that, you're looking at 6 mana for, let's see, how much total? Basically 4/4, right? So 10/9. Basically, you're spending 6 mana for 10/9 in terms of value of creatures. Yes, you don't get them all at the same time, but yeah, it's a really good card. And it does say summon 2 hyenas, and I believe they are beasts. So that is going to affect Tundra Rhino if it happens to die on your turn. Which, I don't know, I guess that would only happen if they have secrets or something like that. But there is synergy here. So when they do die, if you have this out, you are going to be drawing cards. So, and those hyenas also get buffed up by, of course, the Timberwolf. So, all in all, this is a very powerful card. We're going to throw it in the deck. It's a really good rare. It's pretty easy to acquire. Alright, so you only got 4 slots left. Are we going to add traps or weapons to our deck? Well, we're definitely not going to add this one. It's good, but it's an epic, so we're not going to count that right now. Eagle Horn Bow is good, but I don't think we're going to be adding any secrets to the deck because we don't have enough slots to do that. That is a separate strategy, and another important tip is you don't want to divert your focus into another strategy all in the same deck. What you're going to end up doing is you're going to end up not having the right cards at the right time. You're going to be trying to do too many things at once, and it's not going to work out. When you play an Eagle Horn Bow in your deck, you play 2 of them, and you're going to hope to have at least 6 or 8 secrets in your deck. That's what you want. You want to be able to trigger this all the time, which we're not going to do here. If we were to put a secret in, just to protect ourselves, Freezing Trap is a nice option. It gives you really good tempo. Explosive Trap is also really, really good in terms of doing AoE damage to the enemy. We've got some pretty good removal already. I would consider taking out Arcane Shot to put an Explosive Trap. Maybe. It is 1 mana cheaper, but this is 2 damage to everything. However, because it's a secret, your opponent can react to it. So they most likely are going to be playing more defensively when they see you having a secret on the board. So for now, we're not going to put any traps in the deck, and that's okay. Alright, and that will cover the deck for now in terms of the Hunter cards. We've still got 4 slots left before we trim. So what we're going to do now is we're going to look at neutral minions, and of course the easiest way to find beasts is just to type it in. Type in beast. That will give you all the neutral beasts. So that's really, really nice. So you can see there's a good amount of neutral beasts here. Now, at this point we need to make a decision. Do we want to swarm the board with minions, with cheaper minions, and go for an early game play? An early game deck. If that's the case, we can do that with other neutral minions as support we might dump some of these higher cost cards. Maybe. Depends on what our strategy is. So let's see what we have, and then we can decide. So, Angry Chicken is a nice card, but doesn't really fit here in the deck. Stone Tusk Boar is a nice 1/1 for one. It's going to have charge, so that's nice. The Dragon Hawk is good, especially if you can get it some more attack and, more importantly, some more health. The Bloodfen Raptor is a solid minion. It's a 3/2 for 2, so it's automatically a better value card. Direwolf Alpha. I think this is an important card in the deck. It's a beast. It's a 2/2 for 2, and it buffs up the minions next to it with +1 attack. So that's pretty good. So this might be a contender for the deck. Ironbeak Owl is one of those cards that you want to put in almost every deck. If you don't like Silence, you're crazy. Silence is extremely important in Hearthstone. It's not technically removal, but in a way it is. It deals with so many threats. It can deal with big taunt minions. It can deal with a Ragnaros, although to be fair, Ragnaros is even scarier, maybe, without his text on him. Can, completely shut down the Sunwalker. It can kill bring a Twilight Drake to a 1/1. It just has so many possibilities of it being good. And at the end of the day, it's a 2/1 for 2, so not fantastic in terms of stat balance, but it's still the beast. So I think this is a necessary card, especially in a beast deck. He's just so good. And this is something that I would consider putting in and taking out, possibly Arcane Shot, maybe. So we're going to add that for now. And let's see, are we going to go for defensive here? Because this is a nice minion. A 3/3 for 3 with taunt is very good. The Grizzly is pretty powerful. The Panther is really nice in that it is most likely a guaranteed 4 damage. Because as long as it doesn't get like Consecration or Holy Nova down or something like that, because they can't target it directly, but they can AoE it down. He's a pretty good pick. He's definitely aggressive. He's a 3 for 4/2 or 4/2, so that's balanced, but he has stealth, so it makes him a little better. We're not interested in this guy. It's too slow. Not enough power here. All right, the Stampeding Kodo is really good. I think it's a 3/5 for 5. So not good stat-wise, but it's a very important Battlecry ability in that it destroys a random enemy minion with 2 or less attack. I think that really is going to depend on the metagame, and by metagame it means the decks you see most common. If you are playing ranked matches a lot and you notice you're constantly coming across these super powerful Murloc decks, like all the time, that's what everyone's playing. Stampeding Kodo might be a good choice for you because there are lots of cheap Murlocs. Problem is the random effect, so you don't have a lot of control there. He's a good minion, but he's not going to really fit in our deck. I think we're going to end up going for a more aggressive, cheaper deck. So we're not going to include the Kodo. The Tiger is really good, but too expensive for our strategy, I think. And the Corehound is, of course, he's nice, but not a lot of health for his cost, and he is high cost. So let's go with the Swarm the Board option here. I think that's going to be our best choice because it's easy to build with cards that you can acquire quite easily. So that being said, let's go back here. Direwolf Alpha, we are going to include it. It is nice and cheap, and it is very effective. All right, we're at 30 of 30. Looking at our curve, you can see here, this is a pretty decent curve. If your deck is more... Forget the fact that I'm trying to swarm the board with minions. This is a nice curve in that I'll be playing lots of cards earlier, but toward the end of the game, I'm going to notice that I'm going to be drawing my minions that are cheap later in the game, if I can survive that long, or if I don't kill the enemy before then. So that's not necessarily that great. But if we're playing an aggressive deck, this is kind of the curve that you want. This is what you want to see. So the question here is, what do we remove in order to maintain our aggression? Well, being aggressive means that you need to remove taunt minions, because taunt minions will shut you down in your tracks. So Ironbeak Owl is good for that. Arcane Shot might be good for that if you've got like a footman or something like that bothering you. Let's see here. Deadly Shot's nice, so we'll keep that. Kill Command's pretty good. It's still cheap. Multi-shot can be good if you've got 2 minions. If one of them has taunt, they have 3 health, like the Grizzly, for example. like that guy. The Houndmaster. Here's an example of a card that's really, really fantastic, but might not. Well, it does. It gives it taunt, but it gives it +2/+2, so that's something to consider. So we'll hold on to that for now. I think Explosive Shot's a little bit too slow for this deck, so we'll take this out. We've still got a decent amount of removal here. Okay, now I'm going to take the High Mane out because it's a little too slow. I think the top end to our deck is 5 mana. What we want to do is put the Rhino down, I think, and if we play him on turn 5, it doesn't give us any immediate benefit other than we can attack with him on that turn. We can attack for 2 damage. If he survives, any other minions that you have in your hand, you're going to be able to attack with on the following turn, if he survives. So I think he might be the top end of the deck, and we'll leave him in there for now. So we've unlocked, we've emptied 4 slots in our deck. Let's look at our curve here. Alright, so let's look back at these neutral minions here. I would say the Panther is probably a really good option here. We want to. I would say we want to have the most 2s and 3s in our deck, which we do right now. But if we add the Panther, you can see how our curve now looks. We're basically evening out at mana cost 2 and 3. So the Panther is a pretty aggressive card in that it's going to hurt the opponent if they don't deal with it, and it's hard for them. It's hard for them to deal with it, so that's good. There aren't any other 3-drops that are beasts besides the Grizzly. I would much rather have the Raptor than the Grizzly, in that it has the same amount of attack at 3, but it costs 1 less mana. We're not going for taunt here, we're going for aggression, aggression, aggression. So we're not going to do that. Let's look at our curve again. I would be okay adding 2 more 4-drops into our deck. That means that just in case we go a little bit longer in our game, we will have some nice drops at 4. So let's take a look here. Are there any other beasts that are neutral for 4 mana? The Snapdraw is really not what we're looking for here. He's not enough power to do us much good here. Go back here. We've already got the Houndmaster in. Yeah, so that's basically it for beasts. But let's say we don't need more minions. Let's just say we want to put in. I've already got multi-shot, so really there isn't a lot of options. If we were to go to put in a neutral minion that wasn't a beast, so now we're basically delving outside of the strategy a little bit to look for something that can fill that gap. That's not a beast, but will still help us with our strategy. Dark Iron Dwarf is a contender in that it can make creatures more powerful. This could be a really nice aggressive card here. Cult Master could also be really, really important for drawing cards. If you notice, you can get Cult Master out on turn 4, attack with a lot of your cheap beasts, and you can draw a whole crap ton of cards with this. This might be a really good synergy here. You pop that guy down, attack with your Timberwolf or your Direwolf, whatever, to kill some minions for board control. You're going to be drawing cards each time you kill one of your minions. So this might be a lot of fun to try out. Defender of Argus is nice, but it does give them taunt, but it gives adjacent minions +1/+1. So this is a good pick as well. It is rare. The only problem is that it's rare, but it's still a nice pick here. Not a beast, but that's okay. Let's take a look here. What else we can do for 4 mana? Gnomish Inventor is a nice card in that it's got decent stats, not the greatest for its mana cost, but it nets you a card. So basically, it's replacing itself, you know, it's a cantrip. Cantrip means you spend a card, you draw a card, but at the end of the day, you have a minion on the board. So that might be a good choice. This is also a nice filler. When you don't know what to put in your deck, it's nice to put in the Inventor or the Novice Engineer. We could go for more silence. I don't think we need it. We've already got the Owl. This might be too much silence, but he's a nice choice to put in almost any deck at 4 mana. He's a nice body at 4/3. Sen'jin Shieldmaster, I kind of just want to put in the deck because I have it in almost every deck that I have. It is a very, very easy to acquire card. You're going to have it immediately, and it is one of the best minions in terms of 4-drops. in that he at least just keeps you alive, and he's a lot to deal with at 5 health and with the taunt. And 3 attack is really nice as a 4-drop. So he's a really good filler if you don't know what to put in, especially if we need 4 drops. Not much else to say here. These are all good cards, but they don't really fit our bill. Maybe the Knight. But if we're going to add a card that's not a beast, it needs to have something else that is bringing to the table. Yes, this has charge, but I would rather put in, honestly, the Shieldmaster. But you know what? Who's to say we need another 4-drop? We don't. We can put in 2 more 3-drops, and our curve will look actually pretty good still, evening out at 3 as the middle. So you know what? Let's just do that. Let's look at our last 3 drops. We're not going to put the bow in, so let's go back to beasts here. Keep typing in beasts. Neutral. Alright, so we've got 3 choices, 2 of which we've already used. This guy's underwhelming, so it looks like we'll put in the Grizzly after all. Who cares that he has taunt? It's not a bad thing that he has taunt. A 3/3 for 3 that's a beast is really, really good. So he fits the deck perfectly, and the taunt is just a bonus. So let's take a look at our curve now. You can see it's a little strange on the 4 and the 5, but it's pretty aggressive. So that's a quick look at the mana curve and how you can quickly evaluate the deck. Now, the most important piece to deck building, and something I cannot show you in this video, is play testing. You have to take your deck and you have to practice with it. And let's say you go on right now and you play some unranked matches and you lose your first 2 matches. Don't start editing the deck immediately. That's people's first reaction is, oh, I drew an Iron for a Grizzly when I didn't need it. I'm taking that out of the deck. You can't do that. You need to play a lot of games, and you need to see if the overall flow of the deck was okay. Were you drawing the right cards in terms of mana cost? Not just, if you draw, obviously you're going to draw Tundra Rhino early. Sometimes it's just going to happen that way. You can't help that. But play 5 or 10 games or something like that and see how your tempo works. If you have problems with specific cards, you can deal with that. But overall, you need to be drawing okay cards. So some cards here I would immediately consider removing for something better once you require it. Probably Tracking, maybe. Probably Arcane Shot. I think Arcane Shot's a little underwhelming at 2 damage, in my opinion. But everything else here fits together quite nicely. Some stuff to add to this deck if you can afford it, if you can get the dust. A really nice card that adds synergy to this beast deck. Let's take a look at... Oh, I don't even have it. Let's go to all cards here. Snake Trap. Snake Trap is really nice synergy with this beast deck. When one of your minions is attacked, you summon 3 1/1 snakes. They are beasts. So if you have the Buzzard out, you guessed it, you're drawing 3 cards. If you've got ways to buff beasts, they're going to get buffed. So Snake Trap is nice in this deck. Overall, I don't like Snake Trap in comparison to the other traps, but in this deck it will work really nicely. So there's always ways you can tweak the deck. And as you play through ranked, you're going to be getting a little bit of gold, hopefully doing your dailies, and it's not long before you can craft epic cards like that. And of course you can buy packs and maybe you get lucky, something like that. So I'm trying to think if there's any other tips I can give you guys, really basic tips. I know this is a little hunter specific, but the same rules apply. You want removal, you want a little bit of silence if you can, and you need to come up with a firm strategy. This strategy is pretty simple. It's beasts, it's minions that work together to achieve a goal of overwhelming the opponent. And I honestly don't know, without playtesting this could be a terrible deck. I don't think it's terrible. It's probably good. I wouldn't take it into 3-star Master, but it would do pretty well, especially for new players. This is a pretty comfortable deck. You've got your simple hero power for the Hunter that just deals 2 damage, so you've always got a choice there of what you can do. So it's just an all-around nice deck to start out with. Yep, so that's about it. If you guys have any questions about this deck in particular, or tips in general about basic deck building, or if you have any questions about something I missed that I didn't cover properly, or that you're confused about, or anything I can elaborate on, just please leave feedback and let me know. I'd be happy to give you guys some more advice. But this is a very basic guide, so hopefully if you're new to the game, it was helpful to you. And expect more like this in the future, because I enjoy sharing knowledge like this with new players especially. So have a good time, you guys. Have fun, and hopefully you guys can get into the beta if you're not already, and I'll see you guys later. Take care. Time to Hearth out.